Knicks and Bruises, we are back. Shout out to the chat. Ill Black is time. I got the queen in the building, and we're gonna break down some Knicks storylines that's going on right now. Where you want to? What's first of all, what's up, Queen?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Welcome back. Um, where you want to start with the good news or the bad news? The vegetables or the or the
Let
meat and potatoes?
Maybe we should get the bad news out the way so we could end on a good note.
Or yeah. Well, OG update. Knicks and Bruises injury report. OG is out tonight. Resting, nurturing the sore elbow. Um, oh, we got some more people joining. Um, hold up. Give me 1 second. Here we go.
Viva
Salute.
Locks.
What's
People
up?
lock.
Evening.
Yes, welcome to Knicks and Bruises.
Glad to be here. And thanks for the invite.
Of course, anytime.
Nice.
I've been waiting for this moment, and of course, when time permits, I want to jump on you guys' show. Uh, two Knicks chicks in the building.
For sure. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah. Anytime.
Always
Well, it's
appreciate
not
that.
my channel, but I'm
Yeah,
like,
you pulled the strings, you connected the dots for me. So salute, Queen. I appreciate you.
And it's family, right? So,
That's right.
hey,
right, family, MBK all the way.
there you go.
So yeah, we starting with the bad news first. We talking about this OG Anunoby out tonight,
Yeah.
resting. I'm putting air quotes up, resting injured elbow, the sore elbow. But for me personally, it's a little concerning. The Knicks are never forthcoming when it comes to
Yeah.
injuries. I feel like everything is a little secretive. They'll put one thing out and it may end up being something else. Shot didn't look good last game. You know what I mean? I did like his aggressiveness for sure. You know what I mean? I feel like this may be selfish of me, but I feel like his presence, you know what I mean, even if the shot is not falling, is gonna help us. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So
you're
so
right.
if they're holding him out, you know what I mean, it makes me wonder how serious is this injury, you know what I mean, fresh off the surgery or whatever. So I want to get you guys' opinion on the level of concern, you know what I mean? Short term and long term, you know what I mean? Because he's always had injury history, you know what I mean? And we got to pay him eventually, whether it's this summer or next.
Viva
Yeah.
Lock.
Yeah, it's very concerning. You know, from I read and I'm not sure exactly where I read it, but that he came over injured
Mm,
um from Toronto. Again, I gotta do more research. And again, I don't know how true it is, but it's like it was like that was the steal that we got, and I guess in the hopes that they knew he would need surgery. So either way, that's concerning because like you said, his presence just to be on the floor, it kind of deters other teams from you know I guess like a scare tactic so much.
hmm
um and then if it's long term, within how long, and who's going to fill that gap, that void, when if he's out. Short term, you could live with, but then again, it's still concerned whether it's short or long. you know um at this juncture, like I was saying, with fair enough, we have Mitch and Randall, and I think hold them out for as long as we can, as long as we're doing great. But to have another, person go down, now that puts that again more pressure on Jalen. Um, and these other guys, they're gonna have to continue to play. Now their minutes are gonna go up, which Hart thought his is gonna go down. So again, it's like it just puts all that pressure on more minutes for these guys. And now, we're coming down to the home stretch. Well, how will they hold up? When we get down to the end, we have what, like how many, 17, 19 games left. So how much can they hold up, and stay within that fourth seed? So it's
Right.
kind of, it's concerning. If he's not there, then what is that going to do for the other guys, on that floor? Their minutes are going to stay, increase. They're going to stay where they're at. So now there's more wear and tear on them. So,
Yeah.
whether it's long or short term, it's still concerning.
Right.
Yeah. Um. Shout out to the lady and the chef. Now they got the whole pod in the building.
That's it.
Um. And of course, my guy Jay Boogie. Appreciate you, my brother. At first, I thought you evened the odds, and then Lady and the Chef came in. You know what I mean? But full house tonight. Full house tonight.
Ladies rule tonight.
Hey, I have no problem with that.
That's
I,
right.
I did want to shout out JJ in the chat. I am Jarrell. Shot Powers. Craig. See, Craig, if you wasn't always so negative, man, I would I wouldn't take your comments with a grain of salt, but I'm gonna still show you some love. He says clearly OG's injury has nothing to do with a rest day. We didn't have a back to back Lion Knicks. Oh, so he's overly concerned. I don't think I don't think I'm on it like that, but you know what I mean. Shout out to him. Um, I'm gonna let ladies first, and then J Boog jump in. Um, level of concern. Queen, you didn't go either, right? So I guess you could go, and then lady. What's your level of concern with this current injury? Do you believe it's just a rest day, warranted rest day, or are you concerned that it's potentially more?
Mm, um, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I can't say I'm overly concerned. I think they're managing it. I think it's something that may not be 100% until next season, and I think they're managing it. He was able to go the last game, even though he wasn't 100%, and it still helped us. Even though he wasn't 100%, it still helped us. And I think this game, they felt he couldn't go. So I think it's going to be game to game.
Mm.
I'm not concerned that he's going to be out for the rest of the season. Um, OG's presence, even at 80%, 75%, is still huge for us. And I got to be honest, I believe in the medical staff. Like, I don't think, and the Nick organization, I don't think they're going to do anything to put these players' health and their own investment at
Mhm. Yeah.
risk just to win a game or just to get into the third seed. It's just hard for me to see medical personnel saying he's not ready, but we need to get this win, so let's put him in. And it's just hard for me to believe that. So I think when they're ready to play, they play, and when they can't, they can't. So I'm not overly concerned with OG, but he may not be 100% the rest of the way.
Pardon me. If I could piggyback a little bit,
Mhm.
because I preface this by saying, the Knicks are never forthcoming with their injury reports and what they leak out to the media. But let me acknowledge that
Mhm.
that's me being a selfish fan. You know what I mean? They have no obligation to be forthcoming and divulge this information. And I agree with you that even though they're not forthcoming to the media, to the public, I do think they always have the players' best interests at heart when it comes to that medical staff. So I did want to agree with that point you made. Lady,
Salute everybody. Salute to the chat
Salute.
tonight. It's nice
welcome.
to be on with you, Tony, Jay Boogie. Jay Boogie, I was listening to Steph's last show and she played your song and I said, damn, I wish I was on a panel because I would have been the one like this. Everybody else was kind of real smooth with it. Y'all say I'll be smooth with it. I would have involved into that because it was really nice.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
But
you.
I do agree with what Steph was saying with trusting the medical staff and them not wanting to put a player out too soon to risk the long run with the player and for the team's sake. I think I was very big on, and I've been saying it on our podcast, is that I don't believe in rushing any player back just because I feel like they should take their time. And the same goes for Mitch and Randall. I don't think that they should rush coming back. I would rather them come back closer to the playoffs. This way we have them healthy. And look, I said the Knicks have an advantage. while we had our guys get injured months ago, they're coming back at a time where we really need them for the postseason. Whereas other teams can endure injuries now and with the remaining 15 games of the season, and that can hurt them going into the postseason. So I think the Knicks have an advantage of having guys like OG creep back in, and then having Randall come back and having Mitch eventually come back. But I don't want to rush anybody coming back. And I quite honestly, I even think that Hartenstein should be playing a little less minutes just because we need him as well. So the only thing that I get concerned about is if you have OG taking a breather and not playing a certain game, the Knicks being able to find that burst of energy, that intensity that he brings, and maybe it can lack in certain games. Whereas when he's in, you notice the difference. So that's my only concern when it comes to that.
Yeah, and the opponent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's one thing if it was a lesser opponent. So I agree. Jay Boogie, welcome back. Salute, 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 salute.
Yes, yes. Salute, salute, salute. Three capital S's. Bless health, happiness to everybody. Hope everybody had a beautiful Monday, beautiful day of life. Shout out to the family, everybody that's tuning in, that's rocking, that's watching, towards everybody. I really feel like the Knicks hit their number on this road trip. I think they set out a goal, a plan. I think they hit that early and went in the first two games. I think they looked at and wanted to be a 500 team. So I think they hit their goal and their mark. So now we're going to play management ball. I'm not too concerned of OG, but you know what I'm saying? For them pulling him out and he's being held out, I hope it's on a breather routine. I hope it's, no, we ain't going to let you go again. I will hope that because that means that, the team is really focusing more up down the road than pretty much focusing on what's happening right now. I think they're trying to do everything to make sure they stay within 4 or 5 at the worst, at the extra worst 6. But if they get a chance to go ahead and grab that 3, they're gonna want to grab it. But I don't think they want to chase it. I think they feel like, right now, we're good enough until everybody comes back, and we got to protect everybody's health to make sure they do come back. We don't want nobody coming back and they're not all the way fully ready to go, but they just participate now, versus anybody like Julius. He's not back, and we still wait for him to come back, and OG's coming back. We don't want to overextend him, even though, it's putting a lot of wear and tear on some of these guys, but some of these guys are just putting wear and tear on it. They're not even really mentally thinking of that far as playing the ball. They just know they out there balling and gelling. That's all they thinking about right now. But yeah, I want the squad to be able to come back and be healthy and safe. And for OG, I hope that's just a primary reason, and just sticking them and let them slide, let them rest the day, you know what I'm saying, and look for something different with the Denver Nugget game, then I'm okay. I'm cool with that. But I'm not really, too much worry of like, something is a setback or anything with him right now.
A couple things I want to piggyback off of what you said. Since the All-Star break, I think, maybe a little bit after the All-Star break, I've noticed a more conservative Tom Thibodeau. So I think you're making a good point. We seen Hartenstein have a couple of 20-minute games, you know what I mean, coming off of his injuries and kind of try to maintain his health based off of I believe Achua stepping up in his role. Even last game, I believe it was, we seen it was either last game or the prior one, but we seen Brunson with extended rest going into the fourth quarter where it got a little shaky and Tibbs called the timeout, but didn't bring Brunson right in and gave him that extra 2 minutes of rest. They actually talked about that in the post game, so it was noticeable there. So I mean, I do agree that they're taking a long game approach overall with everybody. And then you addressed JJ's comment, which I was going to ask you guys about, starting the road trip 2-0. Did that maybe change anything if they had a expectation, they meet it early? Now we could go ahead and take a little bit of a conservative role in at least one more game, especially with the extra day off in between games. So yeah. Any thoughts on that? the rest of the panel, I know Jay Boogie kind of addressed it.
I mean, that could be part of the thinking as well. You 2-0, you have a little luxury. That could be part of it, and the rest. One day, one game can equal 5. Or 4 or 5 days off. So I'm sure that went into it as well.
Yeah, like Jay Boogie was saying, if he rests, tonight, they don't play Denver till Thursday. So this definitely gives him time to, rest their arm, and if there's any treatment or whatever, just ice or heat, whatever he needs. So now that's to the Knicks' advantage. Guys tonight, they know what they have to do in his absence. They won games, without him. Yeah, he brings that, defensive pressure, presence, but with him, not playing today, get a chance to rest up and, hopefully, be fresh for Thursday's game. And, worst case scenario, if they, don't win, which I have them winning, it's because I'm an optimist. I'm always for the Knicks. If it was up to me, I'd go 82. But if, like I said, if they don't, win Thursday, they get a chance to redeem themselves. They beat Denver before, it's doable again. So it gives them a chance to rest.
Yeah. I forgot what I was gonna say. I lost my train of thought. I had one more thing on 2 things. Did anybody hear? I don't know if it was last game or the game before, but it sounded like OG just let out a crazy scream during the game. During the game, like when his elbow got hit or something. Was I bugging or did y'all hear that too?
No, I heard it.
Okay.
Yeah, he went to go reach and
Yeah.
he grabbed his elbow. Yeah, but he
Okay.
went back on D. But yeah, you heard it though.
All right. I thought I was bugging out. I got a little sidetrack watching it. So yeah, let's knock on wood, prayers up to OG. I hope everything this day of rest actually becomes something that gives them an extra 5 games or whatever it is in the long run. So that's the way I'm looking at it. One of the sacrifices. Let's move on to some positive news. Jalen Brunson, 3rd time Eastern Conference Player of the Week. I don't think I know to remember the numbers offhand. I know it's 35 points a game, so we could book that part. But yeah, congratulations to him. Let's see if he could win a Player of the Month. And I want to talk about his MVP odds because you know what I mean. This 3rd time now for Eastern Conference Player of the Week. I think the numbers and the impact definitely put him in the conversation. So I want to know kind of where do you think he is in the ranking? I don't know if those numbers are even out yet, but where would you put him in the ranking? And how many of these accolades, these Player of the Weeks or Player of the Month, you think would solidify him, really being in that conversation? We can start with Jay Boogie and then go Queen. I'm sorry, Lady, and go around.
I want to make sure I be careful what I say because I want to be as real as I can be when I say it. But right now, as far as MVPs, I'm putting him top 4, and it can maneuver. That's where I'm gonna put him at. I'm gonna put him along with Joker, along with what's his name, Alexander over there, OKC, and just on the strength of what they're saying now, because you got the best record, Jason Tatum. But it sounds to me like they're trying to maneuver that because you're on the best team, you should be the best player. It sounds to me like they're trying to maneuver that. Most valuable player to me right now is all them guys got Batmans, Robins, Flash, all types of superheroes on their team. This guy's been doing what he's been doing with no starters. And that means a lot to me. With no starters, who's a starter on the team that's on that roster that he's out there in the starting five? None of them. And just until he came over here with the Knicks, he wasn't a starter. So he's really in his second year as being he's being a starter and coming from Dallas. And all them other guys, I mean, Tatum, he got his whole squad. The guy OKC, he got his whole squad. Joker, he got his whole squad. But this guy is like really, really like dragging along with him, got this big heavy bag, and I'm come just go with me, man. Y'all going with me. And all them guys come from the bench, even Dante. Look what's going on with Precious. Hardenstein, he's a bench player. Everybody's a bench player. Josh Hart, he's a bench player. So to me, being the most valuable player, I gotta really put him in that top 4, but it's flexible because any given night I can just change and say tomorrow I want him at number 2 because he's real value. You take him off this team, we're going nowhere. But you take some of them other guys off their other teams, they still got other pieces to continue to move forward. We don't. You see what happened when he ain't played games. It's a disaster out there on their court. So to me, I hope they're leading towards changing the format of this because you're on the best team. You should be mentioned as MVP category. No. MVP belongs to the person that really means the most to their team. And this guy right here means the most to this team out of all 4 of those teams I just mentioned. So that's where I'm at. I got him in top 4. That's just me.
Oh man, I'm letting you know right now, I'm clipping that. It's coming out as a shirt because I mean, how do you got a tough job, lady? I don't know how you follow that, but I mean, all great points. I was definitely going to emphasize the supporting cast of other MVP candidates, maybe other than Shea. He might be the only guy that you could argue, doesn't have another all-star on with him. Our second all-star is hurt, but you know what I mean? He's the only other guy that doesn't have that solidified supporting guy. You know what I mean? The guys are making names for themselves for sure, but yeah, good stuff, man. Lady?
Yeah, I agree to kind of piggyback off of what Jay Boogie was saying. Jalen Brunson is very valuable to this Knicks organization. I think him being on his team has built a trust factor. Prior to him being there was really no trust. I think that, we thought that we were going to get that leadership to develop that trust from Randall. And then Randall went on Podcast P episode, one of his podcast episodes, and said that he's more comfortable being in that second, third string option. But I think having Brunson come to the team, I think at first Randall was a little relentless because it was like, who's this dude here on this team? But then when he saw the impact he was making, not just for him, but on the team, it made him trust more. And Randall, this positivity came, the aura, the morale changed on the team. When you look at the Knicks a few years ago, they were very mediocre and weren't that good. And I agree with Jay Boogie. When Brunson goes to the bench, we were all at that Knicks game on Sunday against the Sixers. When he sat on the bench, you notice the difference. And it's no shade to McBride. He's going to get there and he's going to get better. But it's not the same caliber of player and structure as that point position where you're orchestrating the ball, you're making the right decisions on where you're going to pass the ball, when you're going to go in, and if you want to work your magic or you're going to go out and make passes. So I think when you see Brunson and all that he does, it's not just the points, it's the decision making, it's carrying a team on his back and taking. I have that trust and confidence watching the game that he can take that last minute shot, last second shot, and I feel comfortable knowing that he's going to make it. And I think that last year in the playoffs against Miami, that was a learning lesson for him. And I think he really took that and he said, okay, lesson learned. I'm not going to do that going forward, especially for this year in the playoffs. But I think that what he does, and I saw something, I don't remember who posted it under their community feed on YouTube, and it wasn't NBA and it wasn't Bleacher Report, it was someone else. And they posted the top 5 players in scoring, and Brunson was at 5th at 27.5 points per game. And I believe it was for this month so far. So, you know, he keeps showing how valuable he is at this team. The Knicks got him at a CVS coupon deal. And I think the Knicks have been doing that very well at getting players at a discounted price. But I like what he does. I like what he's brought to this team. And it's only going to make other players now want to come to the Knicks because they see what this team is doing now. And they're a winning team. They're not a fluke. This is a for real team. So to me, he for sure is deserving of all the accolades from MVP to whatever else there is under for him. But he's more than deserving of it because he's earned it. You know, he works game in, game out. We see this guy carry this team, and it's infectious on this Knicks team. So, yeah, I think, you know, like I said, this is, to me, this is his team, and yeah, he, when they chanting MVP for Brunson, it's well deserved.
Where they do that at?
Everywhere.
Everywhere,
right.
right? In most other
That's right.
cities, right?
That's right.
That's
Most-
right. Oh,
Everywhere.
again, I got a similar condition to the Queen, so I gotta throw my 2 cents in before I forget. When you started talking about Deuce and Brunson, I couldn't help but think, like, with Brunson, with Deuce, he's earned the trust of his teammates, right?
Mhm.
But Brunson's at a point where he has the respect of his teammates. You know what I mean? Like, so Deuce hasn't earned that part yet. Like, he's got their trust. You know what I mean? They'll rock with him. They put him in situations. He's showing and proving. But Brunson's at a point where is a respect level to where he, you know what I mean? He can just be himself, and it's a longer journey to reach that area. But
Right.
yeah, and there's obvious difference between them. So yeah, great points there. Queen.
I think he's top 5. I'm looking at the other ones. You know, I think, you know, we have our definition of what the most valuable player is, but Tatum is still going to be in the conversation whether we agree with it or not. Giannis is going to be in the conversation. Um, they're in second place and he's averaging over 30 points. He's going to be in the conversation. I think Donovan Mitchell is going to be in the conversation in terms of what he did for Cleveland, particularly when they were injured. Brunson is in that conversation, so that's 4. That's it for me as far as the Eastern Conference is. I know somebody in the chat mentioned Banchero. I don't think Banchero is in MVP conversations. And, you know, obviously Embiid missed a lot. So that's 4 right there. Shy, you know, for Oklahoma City. The Joker, of course, for Denver. That's 6. Maybe, you know, maybe Ant might be in the conversation, you know, 3rd place. And I know for us, like, oh, they playing with these guys, but I don't think that's what the national media, when they're looking to vote, I don't think they're like, oh, this guy is doing it with this player on his team, and I don't think that's what they're thinking about when voting. I think they're looking at individual stats and where your team is.
Mm.
I don't think they do all of that heavy statistical stuff. So definitely top 10. I would say definitely top 6. Definitely top 6.
My only question about the individual stats thing is it's been very rare, but there's been times where two guys on one team were putting up MVP numbers, and I think it hurt each other's chances of actually winning. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I don't know if that's even relevant. It's just something that popped into my head when you were saying that. I'm forgetting how I was trying to connect the dots to that. But yeah, Diva.
Well, for me, he's definitely, you know, top 5. I mean, Steph was real broad and all these players, but I think
I was just happen to be looking at these standings.
oh, okay. But he's definitely top 5. And you know, he's defied the odds, you know, from way back when. He went from a 2nd round draft pick to an NBA All-Star, elite franchise player, and for him to do what he's done in the absence of starters, that's injured, it's like he's carrying this team on his back. Um, he's making his players better. So not only, as a team, collectively, but just what he's doing for the Knicks, the players and overall. They say, you know, he's selfish. Sometimes he has to be that way. Case in point, just when they played Sacramento, nobody else was, he had 2 assists, but in a case like that, he had to take the game over. Guys got looks, but you know, so and he knows when to distribute the ball. So it's not all about just selfishness. It's just about getting that team, to that next level. And he's shown that just his leadership, on the court, of what he's doing, for him not to, I mean, just to get a mention, that's great. But and if he don't, that's bad for the NBA for me personally, because what he's doing, night in, night out, and just where the Knicks are at, as a whole. Um, like Jay Boogie said, take outside of Shea, you know, there's take away those guys, and where would the team, where would their team be at? So I mean, I definitely think he should be in the running. Definitely top 5. There's Joker, MB, Tatum, of course, and not even MB, Giannis, excuse me, I meant Giannis, and Brunson. So I definitely feel that he deserves it, to be up there. um he's proven himself night in, night out. He's defied the odds for the most part. So yeah, and I hope he gets some serious consideration for it.
Um, before I move on, my question across the panel, I'll start with Queen, and then we'll go around again. The same direction. I'm
Mhm.
sorry. Um, how much does the winning do you think affects the voting? Because you preference winning and the stats, like individual stats and the team winning. Do you think it's like a 50-50 thing with those two areas, or do you think like how much do you think the winning part impacts it?
I think it impacts it a lot. I think you can have somebody averaging 30 points a game, and if their team is in 10th place, I just don't think they have a shot. So I do think that winning matters when it comes to the MVP. I think they're looking to see, where's your team going. Sometimes on the All-Star team, they'll vote somebody in who team isn't winning, but they're putting up good numbers. But for the MVP, I just don't see that
So
happen.
I mean that I think that's fair. Let's say if it's do you think 6 seed or better, and now you could kind of put these guys in the same category, or maybe home court advantage, so 4th seed or better. Now you could put those guys 4th seed or better into a more fair pool. You know what I mean, of selecting from. Like
I
what
think
would be
you'll get
your
votes. I think you'll get votes. But I think if your team ain't first or second, maybe third, I don't think you're getting voted MVP. I think you'll get votes.
Okay.
But if you're not, your team didn't finish first or second, maybe third. I don't see it unless you like took a team that was projected to be in the play-in and you brought them to the 4th seed. Then it's possible. But a lot of this is about narratives. Anyway, in terms of even getting into the conversation. But yeah, I don't see Brunson winning it because the stuff that we're talking about, I think some voters will think that way. Oh, this guy didn't have as much and he did just about as much as another guy who had. I think there are some voters who think that way, but the majority of the voters, I don't think they're doing those types of calculations.
You would think they're less biased than a fan, though, right?
No.
You would think they're just as biased as a fan?
I think these people that get a chance to vote, a lot of times they only know the big storylines. A lot of times they're not even familiar with a Brunson or a Maxey or these guys. Sometimes when you hear them talk, you're like, are you watching the games? Like, do you know what's going on with this team? You understand? So I just don't think everybody who gets a vote is in it that deep.
Yeah.
So, that's the thing about it, because you don't have to be in it that deep, but they making it that deep. When you pay attention to what they're saying, like little comments, like Miss Becky Hammond, she run off her mouth. The other girl, she run off her mouth. That gives them a debate. And when it gives a debate to amongst one another, then you got other guys that's defending this guy. This is one of the biggest stories that's going on in basketball this season. You know what I'm saying? Outside of maybe like 3 or 4 other situations. And I think at times, I don't pretty much heard, but I think we all been in agreement, like knowing if this team was been completely healthy, we'd have been sitting at number 2 spot. So for us to be not healthy all the way for a good majority of the season, and this guy still has us only 2 spots down, that plays a big part. Now, I agree 100%. And what Queen is saying, I'm just hoping sooner or later they start appreciating what really MVP is, and stop just looking at MVP because you got the best record. Really look at who's really putting that work in. Because even if you're over there looking at Boston, that's not Tatum really putting that work in. If Porzingis ain't there, they ain't winning a lot of stuff they got going on. And Jalen Brown is showing me a little bit more at times than what Tatum is. It's just that he's the face. You know what I'm saying? So when you are the face, you need to be putting in that work. But when you don't put that work in, like he went to Denver and he didn't show up, but he showed up against some bums, that was big. Just the other day, I said in the mind frame of me thinking like Rick Brunson, I had to apologize because I thought the same thing. Yo, so what, you scored 45 on Portland, them bums. What you gonna do against the next squad? Then he went up there and put another 40-round clip. That shows a lot to me, you know what I'm saying, as far as who you are and what you say and what you can show, and compared to you playing against a little boy mob and put on, and then you go to a big boy mob and you don't even show up, and that's what they talked about with that guy Tatum. But I need my guy to be mentioned in that top. I ain't even say the 5th. I'll put him in the top 4. I don't care nothing about Giannis, none of them other guys. They got Batmans. We ain't got no Batmans at all. You got to love and appreciate where we at with this guy. He wasn't even, they all-stars got votes. They vote you in. He wasn't even voted in as the starters. The world vote the starters in, but they still had him up there trying to figure out how they can put him in the starting lineup over Dame. They didn't want Dame in that lineup. They wanted this dude in here, man. He's changing a lot of morale across the league right now.
No
doubt. A lot of it.
But even if I had to pick for MVP, I wouldn't pick Brunson for MVP.
I mean, I get that. He's not going to. I get that. I like Shake. I get that. But I still want him to be recognized. He's not being recognized. You got people still trying to disrespect him. He's getting beat up each and every night. Refs are not getting calls. He's fighting through everything. I just want dude to get the proper respect that he deserves. He needs his respect for what he's doing over here when so many people was against him. Even, 40% of the Knicks fans, when he came here, he too small, he too little. He probably don't play no D. He ain't ready. He paid too much money. Man, he don't knock all that out the window with everybody. You got Brunson jerseys everywhere, more even in buildings on the road. So I just give him his proper respect in the media and not just the fans. We give it to him, but give that man his respect.
Has anybody confirmed the Woj tweet from that JJ is referring to?
They just put it up. They just put the video up on his page that he was referring to. I can't listen. I'm not listening to it, but only thing I'm hearing him say, and it's in I'm reading that he's out tonight.
Okay.
But,
who?
but you know what?
Oh, OG.
It's only a 27-second clip, so I'm gonna go
All
off
right,
and listen to it and come back.
keep an eye on. We'll go back to the queen. Oh, this one's for the two Knicks chicks. Cause y'all didn't get to answer this. I'm gonna change the question up. More likely to happen: Brunson wins MVP or Coach Tibbs wins Coach of the Year. What do you think is more likely or should happen? Like if we were gonna get one of them, which one would you go for? Which one do you think is more likely?
For me personally, I think more likely is Tibbs getting Coach of the Year, because like Jay Boogie stated, for some, weird, odd reason, they refuse, and I don't know who's they, but I'm just saying, just overall, just the voting, refuse to give Brunson, give him the accolades that he's rightfully deserved. Yeah, we as fans, we see it, the chance, in other arenas, how he get the MVP chance, that's all, we all hear that, but it's that voting party that, won't, for whatever reason, give him the MVP. So I think Tibbs have a better chance of, getting Coach of the Year over Brunson. But and Brunson has done a lot, like Jay Boogie said, where the team is at, but all that is going to get overlooked and he'll get overlooked. So I think Tibbs has a better chance of getting Coach of the Year.
Lady?
Yeah, I'm gonna be a realist here. I say neither. And I say that because it goes back to what Jay Boogie was saying. The Knicks as an organization, as a team, they're not respected. And when you hear a lot of sports commentators talking about the Knicks, they continue to say, yeah, I see the Knicks going to the playoffs, but I think that they possibly may be a one and done first round team and get knocked out, maybe make the second round. And then people are harping heavily on the injuries of, well, they can't do it without Randall. They got to hope that they have other players, Brunson, other guys stay healthy. But I think because the Knicks came from just losing awfully for many years, and I think the Knicks will start to get the respect. First, the Knicks have to work on becoming a known playoff team.
Mm-hmm.
I think starting with last season and continuing to move forward, the Knicks have to be a team that makes the playoffs, and not just makes the playoffs, but you got to accelerate further each year. You can't just get to the first round and get knocked out. You got to second round or better. So I think the Knicks need to be known as that team in the NBA that makes the playoffs every season. And then I think right now where we are is I feel like this team has found their identity. So now there's positive results coming from that, and the way they play and when they play together. Even not healthy, this team plays great when they play together team ball. In the beginning of the season, if you notice with the Knicks, there was a lot of individual selfishness. You would have some games, Randall would give you 30 to 40. Brunson would maybe give you about 25, 27, but it wasn't resulting in a W. So it was like all of that for what? But once the Knicks got rid of some of the dead weight and they started trusting more and playing together as a team, because that's what's going to win you these games, team ball, whether it's on the defensive end or the offensive end, that's when this team got better. And I think that they're making themselves look good, but they're also making Tibbs look good as a coach. And I think that Tibbs can get that. And I think what Steph was saying is true, is that you look at Embiid, the Sixers finished third last season and he won MVP. So she's right. You have to maybe be at that third. And I think if the Knicks were at that possible second or third seeding, then yes, Brunson would have a better chance at winning MVP. But I don't see it this season. But I will say, because the Knicks are doing better and because they have a great caliber player in Brunson, the marketing standpoint is a lot better. I sent Diva Locks a video clip earlier, and they were on Hot Ones. They were eating the spicy wings. And it's like, you got to be a spotlight player for them to invite you to do those kind of things. Like I know they did it with Stewie from the New York Liberty. Like they're not just inviting any old player to come and sit down. You're not going to invite Dante DiVincenzo. I saw people in the comments saying, "Oh, it would have been nice if they invited to have the Villa." He's not a face. Josh Hart and Brunson work well together. They're like, frick and frack together. They're silly together. Their humor works. And I think because the Knicks are doing so well this season, people are putting them in little commercials and putting them in a marketing standpoint. It looks really good for the Knicks. But I just don't see that happening for either. And it's not me being a negative Nancy. I'm being a realist here. And I love it because the chat comes after me. But come after me, chat. Somebody has to do these things. We can all agree here. But I think, look at Greg. Greg always has something to say because I love when he goes all in the chats. And Sim is like, Greg, what are you talking about? But I do think that not this season. I think the Knicks just need to focus on finishing this season strong. And I think that Brunson is right there. He's right there. And same thing with Tibbs as far as coach of the year.
Yeah.
Just to piggyback, I think you kind of answered the question, but I was going to pose it as a question. Do you think when he won coach of the year, it was more of the Knicks kind of coming out, taking the league by storm, if you will, coming from, the bottom feeders that we were to, having that success, as opposed to now where we've had a little bit success, maybe the bar has risen for him to even be considered a coach of the year coming off of, two playoffs in or what 3 and 4 years or 2 and 3 years. So maybe the bar has risen for him to be considered for coach of the year. Quinn, you got an update?
Yeah, I did listen to it. He said he's out tonight, and from what he's heard, he's going to be out more than tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Now, whether that's 2 games, 3 games, well, I don't know, but he's going to be out more than tonight, from what he said. But I want to weigh in on the question, though. I think Tibbs is going to be in the running for coach of the year. I don't think he'll get it. I think what the Boston Celtics are doing, I think Missoula is, right there. What Indiana is doing, I'm not sure anybody expected them. We expected them to be better, but running for the 4th seed. But what Thibodeau has done with this team, with all of the injuries, Randall is a 3-time All-Star, 2-time All NBA player who's been out since I don't know when.
2 months at least.
Yeah, you traded, you traded off RJ and Quick and Grimes. You got a whole new team. So you're trying to, OG fit in seamless, but Bogdanovich and Burks haven't. And through all of the injuries, you still have an opportunity to finish 3rd. If the Knicks finish 3rd, he's going to be heavily considered for coach of the year. Will he get it? Probably not. Look at what's going on in Minnesota. Look what's going on with OKC. So I don't think he's going to get it, but I think he's going to be he's going to get votes. He's going to get more votes than we think.
Is it the same voters for MVP and coach of the year? Because my only question to that would be they'll consider circumstances for the coach, but not for Brunson. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not sure who the voters are. I think there's 2 coaches of the year too. I think the Coaches Association has a coach of the year, and I think the NBA has a coach of the year, if I'm not mistaken. But you're right. They may not even look at the circumstance. They may just look at Missoula, OKC, and Minnesota. I think between those 2.
To your point, you said 3rd seed. That might just be enough. You know what I mean? Or that might be enough to look at the circumstances.
Right.
Now it's like 3rd seed, given no Randall, given, you know what I mean? Right. They may not look at circumstances without that 3rd seed. And that, to me, that makes more sense. Get to the 3rd seed. Now they looking at how they do this. Well, how they really do this. Because look, this guy's been out. This guy stepped up. So I think that changes things. I guess we're gonna double back real quick on the OG and the level of, now. And the level of concern. Let me just shout out Craig. I think that was for you, lady. I'm pretty sure that was for you. And then Craig again. He's like, I told you guys about OG. He has been saying it along with the Tibbs slander, and blaming Tibbs. But he definitely been saying this since the original injury. I ain't even gonna front just to be honest. But what they say, broken clock, it's right twice a day. Level of concern, has it risen? Given the news that it may be more than a game, it's flaring up, more details. My level was up already, so I'm not gonna say it rose. I think I'm more. I like knowing rather than not knowing. You know what I mean? So the fact that they're giving us some information, I like to know that. You know what I mean? But how about you guys? Level of concern, has it risen in this short 50 minutes?
That news, the news clip. Well, for me, it has a little because, like you said earlier, Tony, how the Knicks, they're always so tight-lipped, and Tibbs he's famous for the medical team, So I understand that when he does that. And unfortunately, they probably won't release anything. Maybe what's today, Monday? With them, probably Wednesday or by Thursday. Definitely probably by Thursday if he's not available, then. And like Steph said, a few games. This game and maybe one or two. What is it? Is it a maybe or is it a yes? And they know, but again, they're so tight-lipped, and that's my only, qualm with them is that they're not so forth, coming with the information because they know. So my level of concern is if he's, come Thursday, day to day, and then they come back home, well, will he be, because now you still getting some chance, some time to rest, that elbow. So if he's not available by X, Y, and Z games, and yes, my level of concern is like through the roof. Um, and again, just like filling that void, in his absence. So yeah, it's definitely risen.
And it's not like we can't win without him,
Yeah, for
but you
sure.
definitely see the difference he brings
Difference.
when he's on the floor. And that's
Yeah.
what's that's the hard part to kind of, accept, what I mean? Because you immediately, both times, what I mean, fresh off the trade and then fresh off the recovery of the injury, you just see what his presence does to this team. You know what I mean? It's not about numbers, you know what I mean? He hasn't, you know, broke the 20-point mark often, you know what I mean? Like, it's just impact. So
Yeah.
that's the tough part. But yeah, we're gonna deep dive into that, on Queen's Court later tonight. I'm gonna leave this topic alone. Unless anybody want to add anything real quick, we're gonna get into this Mitchell Robinson thing and get out of here.
I'll save my sermon for later.
Yeah, I think if I'm happy that the team put the information out because they don't do that very often, as you don't mention. But what has me like, I feel like I'm out of place with it, far as wondering how I could feel because we already on the road. I would feel different if we was at home and they just mentioned this and we was going on the road, and I'll be paying attention to see if he moved with the team, versus just staying at the crib. But being that we already on the road, I'm expecting him to, at least be out there with them, unless they if he ain't out there with them, then I don't know where he would be at, because I'm quite sure after this game they would be ready to, fly out and get to Denver, So if he's not at that game, then they send him back home because they
And
already.
and that's more concerning,
Right,
correct?
right. That would give me more concern. So that, being that I really need to see at this game tonight if he's there. I really be looking for that, man. And but I hope it's just repercussions, something like small, I pray for that right there, and just, reflect on the Tom thing. This is a tight coaching race, and Queen spoke on all the hitters. it's some more hitters. I mean, they just gave the Orlando Magic's coach. They just gave him extension. It's a lot of heavy hitting coaches out there this year. But my thing is great of a job that he's done, this year, and really pretty much since he's been here. What kind of contract are we getting ready to give him? Is my biggest, question of Tom. I know he did a 5-year, and he still doesn't have a new one. Most coaches, anybody in sport, they like to pretty much, unless they're betting on themselves, they like to, pretty much have that contract situated, taken care of, versus going into the final year, just like Orlando Magic coach did, So I'm just wondering, being that you got a 5-year deal, I'm thinking maybe they come back with a 3-year deal with him or something like that. I don't know. And then I want Mr. Rose to be executive of the year. That's I might put that in the family questioning tonight on the Queen show. I'm fanning tonight. I'm not coming up there. I'm fanning tonight, but I'm getting ready to sing you something too. I got it. I got to keep it hot right now. I got some plans going on right now with some things I'll get ready to do. You got to keep it hot.
So, I guess facts or cat, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do we believe him or not? Is he trolling like Mitchell Robinson is known to do? Or is this a sign of growth and maturity? Or like Sim said in my conversation with him, maybe he knows what the plan is and, he's accepted it. So I saw a post where somebody put the lineup of Brunson, DiVincenzo, OG, Randall, Mitchell Robinson, said, I can't wait to see this lineup or the starting lineup. And Mitchell Robinson's in the comments saying, I prefer to come off the bench. So I don't know how to take it. I mean, if he's okay with it and that's what his preference is, that's only going to help the team. You know what I mean? That's a clear sign of sacrifice, something Tibbs preaches. And, I think it works either way. But he does have a tendency to troll. So I don't know if this was him trolling or not. But what are you guys' thoughts on this? Do you think it's facts? He's okay with it. Is this a sign of growth from him, or is this same old Mitch just trolling the internet, trying to stir some things up? I'm gonna just go on record and say I believe him. I think this is a sign of growth.
I think he's trying to get ahead of it. I think he may have heard something and he's trying to get ahead of it by saying that that's his preference. But I think one of the things I would like Mitch to stop is this, so I can show more of what I can do, as if they holding him back. You know what I mean? Just stop already. Just stop. Hartenstein is in that starting lineup. He ain't being held back. So you trying to tell me that when Hartenstein goes in, Tibbs is like, do your thing. And when Mitch go in, he like, look, I don't want you to shoot. I mean, come on. This is your game right now. You good at what you do. You are elite at what you do. Stop trolling us with the, there's more to come, but I'm being held back. And listen, so that part of it he can keep. But as far as the other part of it, I think he's just trying to get ahead of it.
So you're rocking with Sim. They already gave him what the decision is. This is what it is. Let me go ahead and say I'm good with this. So it's not a distraction. Or when you say get ahead of it, what are you saying?
Yeah, like get ahead of it so that when it comes out that he's coming, off the bench.
I already put it in the air.
I already put it in the air that I'm okay with it. And not only that, that starting lineup when they're together is humming. I'm not sure you want to, I'm not sure you want to break that up for Mitch coming off an ankle injury who might need a little more time to, um, you know, get back to where he was. Yeah.
Before I pass the mic, I'm just gonna put it out there in case you want to get him.
No, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Ally Wise, I appreciate you.
Oh man. Yeah, go ahead. Take the floor, whoever feels some kind of way.
Well,
You agree with Queen, or you agree with me and gonna say Mitch is showing the signs of growth.
Let me put this one up, Tony.
Go ahead.
This is the one I want to get up.
Okay.
The small bit of offense you get from Hart is much more needed. Listen, let's stop with the small bit of offense. If you understand basketball, you understand it's not just about how many points Hartenstein scores, but it's about how that offense moves when he's out there, what he's able to do. When Mitch is out there, you're looking at just dribble handoffs at the top of the key. That's the extent of it. For Mitchell Robinson, it's not just about his lack of scoring. He doesn't look comfortable on the offensive end at all, just in terms of facilitating the pass. When you have Hartenstein on the floor, and I get it, he's not a juggernaut on the scoring end, and I think he should actually take more shots than he does. But you got those backdoor cuts, you got the dribble handoff, and in a pinch, you got that hook, or you have the floater, and the teams know that, so they can't leave Hartenstein, even if he's not somebody that's going to put up 10 shots. They still got to pay attention to him, and that opens up lanes for our shooters. So it's not just about they might be averaging about the same number of points. It's not about that. It's about what he does for that offense
and how he gets his. You know what I mean? Like, we know how Mitchell Robinson's getting his. You know what I mean? And like you said, they may balance out. They may have the same amount of points or whatever the case. But Hartenstein gets his in a more versatile array of ways. He can get it off the offensive rebound. If a team decides, oh, Hartenstein's not a threat, let me play off of him, he'll attack. You've seen him put Sabonis in his back pocket the other night with the N1. You know what I mean? It looked awkward, but you know what I mean? It showed his strength, you know what I mean? It showed his versatility, and it definitely caught Sabonis off guard, who is a strong forward, you know what I mean? A strong center, whatever you want to call him. Like, he plays with physicalities, and that was a nice move by him. I will say this. I think Mitchell Robinson, pre-injury, I think he was learning a lot from Hartenstein on when to make these moves, when to make these. Like, obviously he's not doing it to the extent of Hartenstein, but we were seeing it a little bit more than ever before pre-injury. J Boogie, what's your thoughts?
You remember that play? It was a play where we was at home, and I think Mitch got like 3-4 tough offensive rebounds, and the last one he kicked it out to Julius, and Julius said, like, no, post up, and he went to give him the ball. See, this is what Queen is talking about. Stop acting like you want to be an offensive, player amongst us. You got to work on that during the on season, then come back when we playing and show that, man. Until then, you're great at what you're doing, rebounding and playing defense. And, if that's what you're great at and it helps the team win, then stop feeling like you need to bring more to the table, and you're not even bringing that more to the table. Hartenstein has shown a whole lot. I think Hartenstein might have been the one that helped us get extra ball movement, because, we still was pretty much in that, that isolation ball. And he's great back. You got two cutters with OG, and you got Dante. Them guys is cutting. Plenty of times he don't hit them backdoor cuttings, you know what I'm saying? And, it was a time where I wanted Mitch to come back because I wanted to see him and OG together. But me with my personal thoughts and what's best for the team is not going to work. And what's worked is when all 5 of them guys was together, they were clicking. All 5 of them guys, they were clicking. You didn't know what was coming, when it was coming, where it was coming, or how it was coming, or what possession it was coming. But if you take that back out, you can almost get back to isolation ball. So yeah, but he has grown. I don't want that, not to be, he has grown a lot, because a lot of us, we thought when he got that money, he might have went bonkers with that money. He didn't. He fooled a lot of us. Look at the big grown man move he did far as with his coach, and if he's sitting there watching and he's saying, okay, I think that's what's best for the team, is if he's pulling a Russell Westbrook and he really mean it, then I salute him for doing that right there. That's playing team ball. And y'all don't spoke on it. Team ball is what's going to win. Paris don't set it in inside the family down low. And Queen don't set it. Team. The chef don't set team, man. Together, everybody always matter. Everybody. So yeah, team ball is what's going to get us. Team ball's got us here. Team ball is going to get us even further. Along with the effort and the hard work, that everything's going to pay off in the right time.
Right. And Stafford, nobody's trying to run Mitch off. Mitch is still going to help us. We don't have to make a decision salary cap wise on whether it's we 1 or 2 centers in the off season. Right now, if Mitch comes back, the Knicks are a better team. We have 48 minutes of rock solid center play. And listen, Hartenstein is not 100%. We need Mitch. So nobody is trying to run Mitch out of town. Now in the off season, you'll hear what I have to say about it. But right now, we need both of those.
Yeah.
Oh, let me just.
They different. They different. And anytime people is opposite, and people look for so many things in common, that's an out of common relationship. They both got different games. They play different, but they complement one another. And when y'all talk about Sabonis, hey, don't forget that big boy game he played against Embiid. That big boy game. He outplayed him the whole time when both of them was on the floor. So it ain't like he can't step up and play. But he's gonna go get his money.
And I preference put him in his pocket on the N1. So that was, I was referring to one play. He had 21 and 14, great numbers, but he had to fight for every point he got. Yeah, every single point.
And that's all you could do with the great ones. Tatum in the playoffs. You think OG locking Tatum down in the playoffs? He not. But is he gonna make him work for everything he gets?
Exactly.
And that's all you can do with these great players.
And Sabonis was scoreless in the fourth quarter. So that this is saying people just looking at what Mitch is doing, and nobody's running Mitch off. And like Tony said, that's growth for him to know that okay, the team's been running smoothly. So let me take a back seat and contribute. It's all about your contribution to the team. It's not an individual thing. It's a team effort. So for him to, want to come off the bench, and also with Steph, like he's getting ahead of it. So I agree with both of y'all. He's getting ahead of it, and he said, well, let me take the mature approach and say, well, I will come off the bench. So nobody's not running him out. Is what he can do to help the team. And if he feels, well, they've been clicking on all cylinders, let me not disrupt that, but let me see what I can do to add to the team, add value instead of being a liability. Well, I'm going to be an asset, and I'll take myself out of the equation and not disrupt it, but I'm going to come off the bench and and make my contribution. So that's what it's all about. So it's a combination of both what Steph said and both what you said, Tony. Get ahead of it and let me, make the mature decision and come off the bench. That's how I see it.
Lady, I'm gonna start with you when I ask. I'm actually responding to you, Queen, but lady, I want you to go first because you haven't spoken in a minute. Could Mitchell Robinson truly see more of an offensive opportunity in that second unit? One, and then my concern with him in the second unit is that we already lack scoring in that second unit. So him in the second unit may limit what we can do as opposed to him in the starting unit. And that's just again the way I look at it. I don't want him to come back and start immediately, or at least I never thought he would come back and start immediately. But I did think over time he would get his starting position back. But that's what's your thoughts on that? We could start with Lady, go around and then we out of here.
Yeah, I think that I think coming back he shouldn't initially start. I think he should come off the bench with the second unit. But I think that what some people miss, and they think that we some of us are not part of the Mitch fan club, is that it goes to the point you're just making, Tony. If Mitch starts in the second unit, it's not going to be to the same level as if, I don't even want to say if he started with the starting unit, but I think the little intangibles like the passing, the not being able to, of being afraid to put the ball on the floor like Hartenstein does, whereas Mitch is a little afraid. It almost looks like Mitch is afraid to either double dribble or travel if he goes to put the ball on the floor, and he's second guessing making that pass and the decision making. But I think that a lot of people, I don't know if like some Knicks fans are so fascinated by a lob that he gets in a dunk. And that can't be the only excitement that you get from Mitchell Robinson, not taking away what he does great. He's fantastic defensively on the defensive end and getting us offensive boards. He's a huge threat that is going to be needed for the postseason, as the playoffs is a different intensity. It's a different level. But I think that this is where the coaching from Tibbs comes in play, because I think Tibbs has to know how to go, okay, in some games, I'm going to need to maybe have Mitch play more or come in certain situations, and then you put Hartenstein, or vice versa. And Tibbs has to know how to know when making those game changes with players, and knowing when, okay, I'm going to use this guy, I'm going to use this guy for whether it's the starting unit or the second unit. And listen, starting unit is great. I think that the starters carry a lot of that pressure. And this is where I think a lot of the supporting cast has to come in and contribute and help. Your Harts, your Bogdanovich, your McBride, Precious. I think those guys have to come in and help. But I think Mitch does a great job with the top of the key, the pick, the spin to the basket. But it's not that flow like you all were talking about that you get with Hartenstein. Now, like what Jay Boogie was saying, and I've been saying this since the beginning of this season, last season as well, I think one of my biggest issues with Mitch is that you're getting paid millions of dollars to play this sport. And I know Steph has had to tell me this, Diva Locks has had to tell me this. It's like, you got to bring the ceiling down, because that's what he is. That's how Mitch is, that kind of player. You're expecting too much. But it would be nice, and I blame some of the coaching staff too, is that I don't understand why we haven't seen. I saw someone said in the chat, oh, Hartenstein misses how many floaters? But they're missing the point. He takes them. And whereas with Mitch, he's not even taking any. We can't even get that from him, or something off the backboard. Just a simple move on the post that we can utilize from him on the big. I spoke about this on our episode the other day. I think shout out to the 718 boys. I brought this up on their podcast too, is that I think we don't have a solid 5 position who can give you more of an offensive presence. We have the defensive presence, but I think the offensive presence. And I think with Mitch, I think Tibbs is going to have to come and play, as far as when are you going to use him on that second unit and how you're going to utilize him. And same thing if you bring him in eventually, once you ease him back in, if you start him some games. So I think it depends on who we're facing in the postseason and whatever round and series, and just to get us that W. I think that's where Tibbs is going to come into play with that, as far as Mitchell Robinson's concerned.
I agree.
But you wasn't referring to him offensively, or like because now it sounds like you agreeing with Mitch. Not saying he's being held
No,
back.
you
But
know
they're gonna
what?
find a way to utilize him
I
offensively.
think here's the thing with Mitch. I think Mitch needs to also stay off of social media. He loves Snapchat. He loves commenting on things. Stop with the social media. Worry about being mentally ready and getting your stamina ready to get back on that floor. I'm not, social media is the day and the age that we're in. But he loves putting these subliminals on Snapchat and whatever other things he like doing, and putting these messages, cryptic messages, under photos, like we know what he's talking about. But I think that I took that as Mitch was saying it. I took it one of two ways. Either he was saying, well, yeah, let me come off the bench and y'all going to see what y'all missing from me. Or I took it the other way where he was saying, you know what? No, I'm going to be a team player and I'm going to come off, because he's not going to be at 100%. He may be at 70, 75%, maybe 80. Just like when Randall came back, I saw Steph was saying that to Uncle Freezy in her episode. These guys, when they come back from these injuries, they're not going to be at 100%. So even when OG came back and he was playing, he was scaring me a little bit, diving in with his arm and trying to get, steals from the ball. Like, whoa. We still got plenty of basketball left. Don't do that so soon. But I think with Mitch, I took that, for me, it was either one or two ways. Either he was saying, well, go ahead, keep rocking with Hartenstein, but y'all going to see what y'all missing from me. Or, you know what, I'm going to be a team player because there's a bigger end goal. And it's the championship. It shouldn't matter if you're starting or not. Do what you need to do when you get out there, regardless.
Yeah.
My bad. He got to respect what he's seen in his absence from Hartenstein. You know what I mean? Like I remember at one point, I forgot who mentioned it, but somebody was like, he might feel bad about it, but I think after a certain amount of time watching it, now you got to respect it. You know what I'm saying? Like yeah, he's been holding it down, and he's been giving Hartenstein a lot of love over the course of this time. So again, I'm gonna still lean toward the growth part. You want to add anything?
I wanted to say, because somebody was mentioning in the chat, look at iHeart's defensive numbers. Look at his pick and roll numbers. Look at all of his defensive numbers. They're not as good as Mitch, but they're not far off. It's not a huge drop defensively. And as a team, because we have better perimeter defenders, we don't need whatever Mitch gives us when he comes back. Great. But remember, we had the number 1 ranked defense when Mitch was out. So we have better perimeter defenders. So you don't really need an elite rim protector. Now, I'm not saying that we can't use Mitch. We need Mitch this season. That's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm saying, in the offseason, when they start thinking about how they want to make this team up, you don't need an elite rim protector when you have very good perimeter defenders.
Parrish Duggar, appreciate the super chat. He says, people try our iHeart. Guys, don't try Mitch and OG.
I agree.
Yeah, and he be swatting stuff too. You know what I mean? But they continue to think they got a dunk on iHeart, and Mitch is somewhat of a deterrent in his presence alone. Anybody else want to add anything on this Mitchell Robinson thing? All right, we got a break.
His threat presence, it says a lot.
No doubt.
You're right on point with that, Parrish. But I've seen a lot of time where iHeart be like, meet me at the rim. You just got to dunk on me. And you seen him, I seen him meet a lot of people and was on the winning side of the block. Clean blocks too. So, but yeah, you get having a threat in the middle and people not wanting to go challenge is different from somebody challenging and then you have to protect. I do get that. But we need everybody and everybody that can get back healthy and help this, this team, finish out this season strong as Leon has put it together. I want them all to come back because more than anything, Tom deserves to have this full roster so he can really show, you know what I'm saying? Okay, this is on you now. I gave you what you wanted. Let me see your work. And he deserves to have this whole team. We all deserve that. But until then, we still gonna be waiting and hoping. But you still gotta, salute to the team. They've been fighting the whole time. A bunch of bench role players.
Right.
A bunch of bench role players is out here getting it. That's why I know they'll smash anybody's bench now. If you put the whole bench to the squad back on the bench, they'll smash anybody's bench. Their starters got to hurry up and get back in the game. I can't get no rest. They killing us. Let me get back in there.
Right. Yeah, so we got a little break before Queen's Court. Queen's Court 8:30. Let's get ready for that. I appreciate everybody on the panel. Two Knicks chicks. Go check out their channel if you haven't already. Go subscribe, hit the like button. They're doing some good things. I will be on the show soon. We'll figure out the logistics of that. Jay Boogie, I'm gonna get the music. I'm gonna talk with Queen and figure out how I could put it, implement it on the show, because I'm still not savvy there. Salute to J Tap, like Queen says, always tapping in. Big supporter, appreciate you.
Fred, love is the Nick way.
And shout out to the whole chat, man. Appreciate you guys. And yeah, we out of here. Let me get the outro going, and see y'all on the Queen's Court. Appreciate you all.
Peace.
Thank you.